Welcome to another edition of the Business Buzz. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman. Obviously, all of you know that we're in a very chaotic economic time. Many of you out there, unfortunately, are maybe looking for work, find yourself between jobs, or some of you are looking at starting the new year, making a career transition. We have an expert in that field, Paul Mathews from the Birch Group. Welcome to the Business Buzz.
Thanks, Jeff.
You are a key member of the Birch Group. They do a multitude of things. They're involved, obviously, in strategic planning, the educational initiatives, but they're also centered in, what would you say, career coaching and development?
Career coaching, transition, outplacement, where companies are laying off or downsizing, and they help their folks get some support when it comes to getting a new role. Transitioning within the organization, optimizing the talent acquisition, all kinds of things.
So, for our viewers out there, someone that is currently in a corporate environment can look towards the Birch Group in terms of improving his or her chances for making that next step on the corporate ladder, or helping them keep their jobs, right?
Yeah, a little bit more than improve their chances. I mean, it'll work.
It'll work.
Oh yeah, yep, yep, guaranteed.
And isn't that really a key point in people that are, let's say, looking for jobs or looking to move up that corporate ladder, is the belief that something will work? Isn't that critical?
Well, yeah, and not everybody wants to move up. Some people want to move over, and even now with baby boomers with retirement plans that aren't quite worth what they used to be, they're downsizing a little bit, and they're looking to get out of the full-time job or the 60-hour week, and just have a couple of 20-hour-a-week jobs in a consulting company, things like that. So, and any one of those things, working up, working over, working down, it's not easy. It's stressful. It's time-consuming, but and it works.
And it works.
Yeah.
You mentioned baby boomers. There was an article I read in the Harvard Business Review, excuse me, talking about the title of the article was Retiring Retirement. And it talked about baby boomers. Yeah. Many of them are forced to continue working, but many of them don't want to retire and are looking to transition into a new career or something that they really have a passion for. Do you find that at the Birch Group? Yeah,
absolutely. And we, the two types. The type that they're recurring and they want to, and then there's that smaller segment that it's time to move on, and they're getting downsized or outplaced, and they're looking for that next thing. And again, but they still don't want to do the 60 hours a week. And a lot of them have taken cuts in pay anyway over the last 3 years in this chaotic economy, I think you said. And it's been tough. And and a lot of them have the that wherewithal to become entrepreneurs or partners or start a new business or be in an advisory board for larger companies or a couple of boards of directorships, those kinds of things. We're getting a lot of those kinds of campaigns these days.
And it's interesting you mentioned the fact, and it's kind of sad that over the last 3 years and maybe over the last 20 years, we lived in an environment of a lot of corporate downsizing. We live in a political environment or time period right now with the Republican primaries going on, and a lot of the situations with downsizing or what they call predatory business practices are leaving many people downsized, because many consulting and organizational strategists are looking at actually removing layers, and many people find themselves on the outside looking in. Right?
Yeah, yep. For probably more lines of business or occupations than the inverse that I'll get to in a minute. Companies they're getting smaller. They're hiring consulting companies. They are doing without whatever it takes, and so but mainly, I mean, they're getting smaller, and then so these people get outplaced. They don't. And so a lot of them are, they're getting together. They are functionally, they're talented, and they all share an expertise. And so if they can meet each other at networking events or what have you, and start partnerships, I mean, that's a lot of talent. So they can work less hours, get paid more, and work as a consulting company instead.
And isn't it rather of a shock, to say the least, for someone, let's say, that's in mid-career and always had kind of a, at least perceived, reliable job to find themselves at a certain age out of work. I mean, isn't that really just devastating to one's psyche?
Yeah, it could be, sure.
Well,
yeah, it's one of the four biggies that cause stress and illness and death. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the four biggies. I mean, it's time to be careful. It's a time not to stay in your room, not to stay on your computer. Get out of the house, smell the fresh air, run, meet people, network, talk. Do what you have to do and stay healthy.
I would certainly agree with that, and I think it's good advice for viewers out there. Now, you were on the show a while ago, and one of the reasons, among others, that you're back because I thought what you have to say is of critical importance. And we're going to talk about the strategy.
That was last time, not this time.
And we're going to talk about the critical importance of some of the strategies you and the Birch Group employ for those people seeking employment. But in terms of the emotional state, I thought it was very interesting and heartfelt in terms of you yourself really understand what people go through when they're unemployed, don't you?
I do, yeah. Yep, both from the perspective of having done so many campaigns with people at various financial stress levels, various levels of marital issue or non, and a statistical anomaly when it comes to how many clients I've had pass away. It's impossible. It's not related. It's too high of a number. So. It's a tough time, and you have to take it seriously. And then when I was self-employed for a while, and when I was losing my business, I thought that I could empathize with my clients when they were telling me that they were eating cat food and had a foreclosure notice on their mailbox, but I couldn't. I had no idea what they were talking about. I believed when I said I know that they were going through, and I would say that to them. I believed it, but I didn't. I didn't know that you get an electrical shock into your spine every time the phone rings when you're having financial difficulty. But that's what happens.
And to me, is in terms of someone that's interviewed you in the past and have some correspondence with, I find that for someone out there that is between jobs, is unemployed, is downsized, I think your mix of really having genuine empathy for their situation, plus having the strategic wherewithal to have them land that next job is really quite an interesting, unique, and great combination, don't you think?
Yeah, and before I couldn't at least say, I know what it's like to be broke, I know what it's like to climb out, and I know what it's like to be on the top of the mountain looking down again and wonder how you got there. And now I can. I can actually, I can really say that happened. And that, it's definitely helped me be a better coach. There's no doubt about it. 100% better, actually. And I was really good before.
Now you're just accepting.
Yeah, amazing. Yep.
Great. Again, getting back, because many of our viewers out there are probably in this situation or have been when they had a great run in a corporate environment, and now they find themselves, on the out looking in. The job market has changed, and it's changing exponentially, isn't it? In terms of the strategies that you need to find a job. It's not your daddy's Oldsmobile, is it?
No, it changes every day. And right now, at this very minute, there's 40,000 job boards. At this very minute, tomorrow, there's going to be 40,000 job boards, but it'll be different ones. Some will go out of business and some will open up. It's just in that realm, it's changing. But social networking, especially inbound marketing, blogging, profiling, eventually video, resumes, and video voicemails, texting. These are all things that are entering a job campaign now.
So the old days, let's say 1990, having a resume in hand, pounding the pavement, it's not really going to work now, is it?
True. I don't think so. I actually think the resume is a couple of years away from being extinct. My own theory. But 2 years ago, I said the same thing, and here we are, and it's still around.
Well, actually, Paul, I think you might be really onto something as someone that's not an expert in that field. It seems like kind of a resume.
I am too an expert in, you.
It seems like a resume is kind of a little archaic at this point. It's also very much rooted in the past, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and I don't think we talked about this before, but if you think about it, a job posting, the resume is used to apply for a job posting. A job posting are published needs and symptoms and problems and challenges companies are expecting to experience tomorrow. And so they put that into a job posting. And the document that we use, and you have an advertising background, to promote ourselves into that role, the best way that we know how is an historical document about yesterday. So we're marketing ourselves with history about yesterday to a job that's about needs for tomorrow. And would you ever do that with a product if you were trying to sell that to a customer? And what's the difference?
It's a great analogy, because you wouldn't go to someone that, let's say you need a tune-up, and someone's having on their billboard or on their sign over their garage, you know, we were the best at tune-ups, tuning up 65 Buicks. I mean,
Right.
It's totally irrelevant at this point. And who cares if you won the 1970 award for best tuned car or best oil changes? It's somewhat irrelevant, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. So it's, things are changing quickly, and we have to be ready for it. You know, I think, I mean, the resume has not gone now. To me, the system is inherently broken, but it was inherently broken 50 years ago, and we were still using resumes then. Europe has been using pictures on their resume for 20 years. We can't put a picture on our resume because somebody might get sued frivolously because they'll say that they didn't get hired because of their looks or their age. So we, in Connecticut and in the United States, we can't put our pictures on our resume. But our pictures are on LinkedIn profiles, and our pictures are on bios, and our pictures are on our last company website. And you know, these blue law, fair labor laws, they've got to change quickly so that we can start, marketing ourselves and digging out. And the better we can, the better the law and regulatory agencies allow us to market ourselves without having to worry about things, then the better we are communicating our strengths and our skills and our qualities and our characteristics and the impact and results that we have when we go to work. The better that we can communicate that stuff, whether it's in writing, on the resume, or some hopefully more futuristic document that's impact heavy, or in the interview. The better that we are communicating that stuff, the more quickly we're going to climb out of this economy. Talent will be optimized or close to it. We need to be allowed to communicate that stuff.
I would certainly agree, and I think many of our viewers would as well concur with that viewpoint. It seems like we all agree that the job searches change exponentially. That's without a doubt. Is there any advice that you can give some of our viewers that may find themselves currently out of work and newly out of work and haven't really looked for a job in a number of years? Are there some sound advice in terms of initial steps and then maybe more future-oriented activities?
That's a tough question. I'm tempted to say, call Paul at the Birch Group at 860, but I think we save that for the end.
We'll say that to the end.
Yeah. But it's, research it out. It's the second hottest topic right now, other than healthcare, and soon to be the hottest, I think. But there's a lot of noise, and so, somehow we need to figure out a way to decipher that. Latch on to the blogs that are making sense to you, or to people, the industry leaders that you're connecting to. Go to the networking events. Don't stay behind the computer. One of the things that 2008 gave us, one of the few good things, is all of a sudden libraries started opening up rooms for individuals that are going through transition or reemployment or employment, and so they're getting together. It's whether or not they get a job in that room, they're getting, they're brushing their teeth, they're taking their bunny slippers off, they're taking their bathrobe off, they're putting their suit and tie on or dress, and they're going to these meetings. It's good.
I think that's really good. And I think that's very sound advice, because I think you talk about a downward spiral. I think one of the best prescriptions for that would be sitting at home, not taking off your PJs, sitting behind a computer. I don't care how much backbone spine you have. Eventually, that's going to get to you, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. And it's at the beginning it'll feel good. I mean, everybody's pretty close to the same. You sit behind your computer, and for that first couple of months it feels pretty good. You're working 8-10 hours a day. You're typing away, using resumes to promote yourself for future needs, which just an amazing event. But and then after a couple